All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kabbalah Cafe. It is great to have you all here from wherever you're joining, whether you're joining live or live, because both are live, right? You would think live and live, right? It is great to have you all here this morning. We have a lot to get to. Today's topic, lessons from Peloton. You guys know what I'm talking? You guys know what Peloton is? The bike. Well, we 2020 we got one. Yes. It was a pandemic era issue. But here's the thing. I want to speak about Peloton because I think like certain topics in Kabbalah and Chassidus, you kind of need a physical contextual grounding. And so that's what we're going to do today. That's the plan. But first, you got to take a step back. I'm saying sometimes to understand Kabbalistic ideas, like I would say subtle spiritual concepts, you need a bit of a practical, grounded mushal, application, not even application, like example that you can then say, aha, I got it. And this, by the way, this concept, this idea comes from what it says in Eov. I believe is it Eov? Is it Job who says this? Maybe. Umipsari exelaka. I think that is where it says it in the book of Job. From my flesh, I perceive God. And the way the Kabbalists understand this is that it doesn't just mean that from where we stand as human beings, we still have the ability to perceive God. But no. Even more precisely, umipsari, from my flesh, I perceive God. In other words, by looking at the human condition, by looking at what's right here, we have a better perception of what's above, because after all, we are created in the divine image. So with that in mind, I want to speak about the oath, promise that is given to every soul before game time. Super Bowl Sunday. The oath that is administered to the soul before it is sent into this world. The Talmud in Tractate Nida has an elaborate conversation and discussion about the status of the soul prior to birth. It says that before birth, the fetus is in the mother's womb. It says, I'm paraphrasing, it's folded up like a writing tablet. I know what you're thinking. Who folds up a writing tablet? What does it even mean? It's clearly a reference that they knew somehow. Back then they had writing tablets that folded or something. Maybe the closest is like a flip phone. Maybe, I don't know. Possibly folded up like a folding like a folding writing tablet. And it says the soul or the fetus, or really the soul. Sorry, the fetus, the unborn has a light shining above its head, and it sees from one end of the world to the other end of the world. That's what it says. And the light shining above its head, the Kabbalists explain, refers to the soul that is not yet integrated with the body, right? The physical body of the unborn child, but is already then earmarked for that connection. At birth, the Talmud continues. The soul is not the entire Torah from beginning to end. In other words, all of the secrets, purpose of life, meaning of life, all of the truth with a capital T that it needs to know, it's taught before birth. And then right before the child emerges into this world, an angel strikes it on its mouth. It forgets the entire Torah, and thus we are born, and hence the cry. The cry, it says that's hence the this, right? Whatever that's called. I know there's a name for it. I just don't remember the name. And that is one of the reasons why the first thing a baby does upon birth is to cry. It's not only the physical cry, but it's also the spiritual cry of the soul, mourning in essence, really the paradise that it has been removed from. Think about it. Imagine in utero, the child, the fetus, does not have any concerns. Warmth is there. Shelter is there. Food is there. Spirituality is there. There's no issue. which is why the sages say in Pirkei Avot Ethics of the Fathers, it's against our will that we're alive. We're born against our will. In other words, on one level, who needs to be born? Seems like a profound trauma. And indeed, life bears out that truth that in many ways, there's a lot of trauma. It would have been better, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Gemara says that. For years, they debated and they decided better not to be born. It's unbelievable, right? They went back and forth over a long while, and they decided, you know what? It's better that we weren't born. Yeah, that's nice to vote that and to decide that. But guess what? We're here. We are here.
But going back one step, does that say it was better that we were conceived but not born, or would it have been better?
Good question. Good question. I don't know. I don't think it discusses on that level. But the point is, I think the core idea is that things were very comfortable. I see Shayna just wrote a comment in the chat over here. It's not so comfy for the pregnant person. Correct. Yes. As someone who has never been pregnant, I can't even begin to agree with you with the level of certainty that others could. But yes, that makes a lot of sense. But the unborn is comfortable, etc. Now, the Talmud continues to say that before the soul is fused with the body and then sent into the world, it is made to take a promise. It puts its little soul hands on the little Bible, and I'm kidding, it doesn't do that. But it makes a promise. And what is the oath? I'll share. I'm quoting verbatim. Tehi tzaddik. What does that mean? Tehi tzaddik. Tehi tzaddik. Be a tzaddik. It's told. Promise you'll be a tzaddik. What's a tzaddik? Righteous person. Ba'al tehi rasha. And don't be wicked. And then it says, Vafilu kol ha'olam. Omer lecha. Tzaddikata. And even if, ooh la la, look at those vegetables. And even if the whole world tells you you're a tzaddik, hey benecha karasha, you should be like a wicked person in your eyes. You with me on this? Be righteous, don't be wicked. But if the whole world tells you, oh, look at you, you're a tzaddik, you're amazing, in your own eyes, you should be like a rasha, like a wicked person. So in the beginning of the book of Tanya, which is like the classic work of Chabad Hasidic philosophy, it's like the Bible of Chabad mysticism. The beginning, literally the first chapter of Tanya, he asks a fundamental question on this. Oh, everything I just quoted to you is from the Talmud, not Chabad, it's from the Talmud. Comes along Rabbi Shneir Zalman of Liadi, the founder of Chabad, and he asks the following question. He says, what kind of trauma, what kind of confused trauma are we trying to impress upon the soul? You tell the soul, be righteous, okay? Don't be wicked. First of all, that's redundant. If I promise to be righteous, I'm already promising not to be wicked, correct? You guys with me on that? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Why do you have to make the oath both ways? Be righteous, don't be wicked. It's like, you had me at righteous. Got it. It's like, promise you'll be righteous, yes. Aren't we good? And the conversation. Oh, and now that you're righteous, don't be wicked. Yeah, bro, we took care of that when I said I'll be. Okay, good. Okay, good. Correct, good. That's true. I like that. I apologize for my voice. This is just the way it's been the last few weeks. If it sounds weird, I know it's weird for me also. Back to the story. So that's one question. And I like your answer. He gives a bit of a different direction, but you'll see how this comes together. The second question he asks is, what's the second half of the oath? So be righteous, don't be wicked. Okay, that's one half. We had a question on that. And the second half is, even if the whole world tells you you're righteous, in your eyes, you should consider yourself wicked. Well, that sounds weird. Like, what kind of depressed, like self-beating up type of trauma are we trying to inflict on one? It's like, oh, if you're such a good person that everyone says, wow, you're a good person, you should be like, no, I'm terrible. First of all, why lie to yourself? Number one. Second of all, how is that good? If you okay, 1 second. He says, if you take that seriously, and you really think that you're a Russia, you're a wicked person, even when you're a good person, if that's what you think, well, then that's terrible. And if you're just pretending because of humility, like, oh, no, me, oh, no, I'm a terrible person, then what? We're advocating to be false and to be like false humility. What are we doing to the soul here? It seems like a very bizarre situation. Be righteous, don't be wicked, redundant. And even if the whole world tells you you're righteous, you should be in your eyes like you're wicked. What is, consider yourself as if you're wicked? What? None of that makes sense if you really break it down. Good. I'm glad you asked. What is righteous? What is it tzaddik? What is it rasha? So the next several chapters in the book of Tanya, he's outlining detailing what is it tzaddik, what's a rasha, and he comes up with 5 different personas, which I want to unfold today because it's relevant, because we have to get back to Peloton. So because of that, we need to explain 5 types of human beings. And I'm going to tell you the categories in Hebrew, and then we'll explain it. Category 1, tzaddik v'tovlo. I'm not translating yet. Category 2, tzaddik v'ralo. Category 3, benoni. Category 4, rasha v'tovlo. Category 5, rasha v'ralo. Let me explain all this. Okay, it would be easier if I tried to print out something the printer wasn't connecting with the printer. But either way, we have 5 levels. There's a tzaddik v'tovlo, and now let me start translating. Tzaddik v'tovlo means a tzaddik, a righteous person, to whom it is good, or to whom good is. V'tovlo, and good is to him. What does that mean? The Talmud asks a question. Take a half a step back. Why is it? Hey, David. Morning. Shavuot Tov. The Talmud asks a question. Why is it that righteous people, sometimes righteous people suffer and wicked people prosper? Why is it that there's a tzaddik, some are tzaddik v'tov lo, a tzaddik, that good things happen, and some are tzaddik viralo. Sometimes you have a tzaddik, a righteous person, viralo, who has a difficult life. Conversely, you can have a rasha, a wicked person, v'tov lo, who's living great. Oh my gosh, great life. And then the rasha viralo, then a wicked person who's living a miserable life. So what makes what? So in Tanya, he explains like this: that these are not just outcomes, these are not just random scenarios. Oh, a tzaddik who has a difficult life, a tzaddik that has a good life. Rather, these are actually different dimensions or different states of a tzaddik. But first, to understand this, we need to understand what is a tzaddik, what is a rasha, what is the middle category, right down the middle, which is the benoni. What is this? What I'm about to say, I think some of you, if not many of you, know to one extent or another, but I do want to make sure to clarify it, because I think oftentimes we learn these things and we might come across these things in bits and pieces, but it's important to have it mapped out, I think, to have clarity on this and really to be able to organize it in our minds and understand what is really going on. So here we go. Every one of us has 2 souls. We have a godly soul and an animal soul. This is like the bread and butter of Kabbalah. So this, we each possess 2 souls, right? What, bread and butter? As you're adorning the bagel.
1 second. Is that butter challah Yisrael?
Absolutely. Are you kidding? Is there even any other option?
I just want to make sure.
There's no other option. So we have the bread and butter of Kabbalah, Chassidus, is the idea that we have, and Tanya is the idea that we have 2 souls. Now, why is this important? First of all, it's the truth. Anyone who has ever felt conflicted about something, part of me wants to do the good thing, part of me wants to do maybe not the good thing. Anyone who's ever felt that in a conflict, anyone who's ever watched cartoons and seen the little angel guy, the little devil guy, right? You know what we're talking about. You got 2 souls. Now, it's not outside forces. Ever since the sin of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, Adam and Eve, the serpent popped inside. That's the way Kabbalah explains it. Previously on Murder She Wrote. No, previously before the sin, right? What the serpent, in other words, the desire for selfish or self-serving conduct that opposes God's will, that was outside the person. That came in the form of an external serpent. Inside, Adam and Eve weren't thinking about sin. It was only an outside influence that said, oh, psst. I'm assuming that's how a snake would sound, trying to get your attention.
In those days, I think he told.
It did talk. Yeah, and it stood upright. Huh?
Yeah, you said.
Yiddish accent. I can't even channel a Yiddish accent now. All right, anyway, the point is, yeah, what's the point? The point is, it was an external voice, but the moment they partook in the sin is the moment that voice now comes on the inside. That voice is now an internal voice. We don't need any external serpents. We got that voice on the inside. That's what we call either the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, or the animal soul. However you want to define it, it's really the same thing. It's really that inner voice or that inner force that tries to pull us in a bit of a different direction away from our core truth, God's truth, our purpose, etc. So anything that pulls us away, we call that coming from the animal soul. So now, everybody, well, I should say the vast majority of people are embroiled, I think that's the right word, embroiled in a vicious battle internally between these two forces, between the godly soul and the animal soul. It is a fierce battle. Now, sometimes in the day, it's more active, sometimes less active. Like when we're doing something overtly holy, like praying or studying Torah or whatever it is, we might not feel that pull, but other times in the day, we might feel that other voice very strong. And so again, the vast majority of us, 99.999, keep on going with the 9% of human beings are embroiled in this battle, in this wrestling match, the way the author puts it in Tanya, like a wrestling match between two combatants. It's literally a take him down, drag him down. I'm forgetting the rest of the M's. Knock him down, drag him down, knock him down, battle to the finish. And even when we're victorious in one moment, guess what? Give it a few minutes, the voice is back, and it's got other ideas. Like, hey, all right, I didn't win last time. However, take a look at what we can do now, right? It's always coming back, and that's the state of being. Now, in the Torah, this is alluded to in a story that I think we're all familiar with, the story of Rebecca. Who was Rebecca? Rebecca was married to Isaac, Yitzchak. And for a while, right, they were trying to have children, and then she gets pregnant, and then what happens? The Torah says, she was in pain. What was going on? She didn't know. There was a lot of pain going on. So she went to see the prophet or the oracle, whoever she saw, and this holy person said to her, nothing to worry about. There's a reason for all of the turbulence going on internally, and it's because Mazel Tov, you're pregnant with twins.
Nice.
And we know what we call twins, womb-mates. It's the worst. Literally the worst. Literally cannot take me anywhere. Anyway, so here's.
You have to ignore that.
Yes.
You even said that.
Please ignore that. Please strike that from the record. So so Mazel Tov, you're pregnant with twins, and the oracle continues to say it's not just twins. These are two nations that are inside you. And one is fighting the other for this massive cosmic battle. And when one rises, the other will fall. And when the other rises, the other one will fall. And they will be at each other's necks. That is the way that is described. It's not just twins. It's a battle of epic proportions. So we can understand it. Oh, so we can understand it on, sorry?
All she wanted from the oracle was to get pregnant.
No, she was already pregnant.
But she was already pregnant.
Yeah, but she was, yeah. She said she was pregnant. She was pregnant, but she was uncomfortable. She's like, what's going on? This is before the sonogram. Sonogram, is that what it's called? It's called sonogram. Yes. So she had to go to the oracle. Oracle's like, you're pregnant with twins. Mazel tov. Okay. But the Talmud says something else. The Talmud says that what was she really disturbed? Because when she went by a place of monotheistic pursuit, she felt some sort of yearning inside from the unborn to study Torah, as it were. When she went by a place of idol worship, she also felt the yearning. She's like, what kind of confused unborn child is this? Who wants to go both directions? What is this? So when the oracle says, it's twins. She's like, ah, makes sense. One is drawn this way, one is drawn that way. I have news for you. My fellow Kabbalists here this morning, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. You're pregnant with twins. Each one of us is Rebecca. Hashtag I am Rebecca. You're Rebecca. We all Rebecca. You know what that means? We're all pregnant with twins. We all have these dueling forces inside. We have part of us that yearns for something higher, part of us that yearns for something lower. And you know what? It's not a flaw. It's the way God designed us. How can we say that God created a flaw? It's not a flaw. It's a feature. But now we have to figure out what kind of feature is this? What kind of feature is this? Who would do that? God doesn't make mistakes. You know, they said about, it would be great if I could remember his name. Then I could actually continue with this example. They said about Hitchcock, right?
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, I call him Al. Anyway, yeah. I was thinking Psycho, but whatever. You can go whichever direction you want. Anyway, so right, Alfred Hitchcock, it says that in his movies, there was not one extra scene or one extra moment of dialogue. It was like everything was precise.
Like the Torah.
Well, right. I was going to say, can we at least say that God is just as good as Hitchcock? Can we say that? Can we say that God is, I'm not even saying say greater than, but if Hitchcock doesn't have anything, hey, Natan, good to see you. If Hitchcock has everything, if in Hitchcock's movie, everything is meant to be there, precise, can we say that God does the same thing? Yeah. Can we at least say that God does also like that? Which means that if you and I have an animal soul inside, if you and I have this other force inside, well, guess what? It's not by accident. It's by design. We are pregnant with twins by design. We're meant to have both. But how we deal with that varies person to person. And now let's get back to the 5 levels. All right. You ready? So here we go. 5 different types of 5 personas. The way the Alter Rebbe and Tanya defines a tzaddik is someone who has, and this is the rare exception. This is like the unicorn of human persona. The tzaddik is not just someone who does a lot of good things. Anyone can do a lot of good things. The tzaddik is someone who is fundamentally different than everything we've just described. How awkward, after we just established all this. The tzaddik is different. Who is the tzaddik and what is the tzaddik? The tzaddik is someone who no longer has to wage that inner battle between good and the opposite of good. The tzaddik is someone who not only on the outside as they show up in the world, but even on the inside is pure and godly and holy. It's like the animal soul either is gone or has gone on vacation. Either one
person doesn't exist.
Right. So the Talmud says, the Gemara says, that God saw that tzaddikim shehimu atim, that there would be very, very few of this level of tzaddikim. Amad v'shaslam bein hadoros or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Maybe he went and then allocated them amongst all of the generations, amongst all of the throughout history, which means that in every generation you maybe have 1 or 2 people that are like this.
What about the Lapidovniks?
We don't know where they are.
Okay.
There's a tradition that there's 36 hidden tzaddikim, but guess what?
We don't know who they are.
Thank you. Exactly. It's like when I was a yeshiva student, so we did this traveling Hanukkah theater, and it was a very elaborate play. It was very highly sophisticated for where we were in life. We had we took 5-gallon like Home Depot buckets, filled them with cement, but first put a pipe inside, used that pipe as a foundation to put in painter poles that were extendable. On the painter poles, created hooks and then created backdrops on blinds. You know what I'm talking about? Like the blinds that go this way, not the vertical, horizontal. What do you call them? Horizontal blinds. And then we painted the horizontal blinds on one side and then let it dry, flipped it over, painted on the other side. And we had 2 backdrops that could fit in a car that folded up. The blinds folded up, the poles came out, the buckets came in, and that's it. We had a 15p 15 passenger, and that was it. That's all we needed. We had a bunch of guys. Why is this relevant? The answer is it's not. However, here's what I want to tell you. Here's what I want to tell you. What I want to tell you is that I played the role of the hero of the story. My name was Getzel the Pretzel Man. Yeah, you heard me right. Getzel the Pretzel Man.
I heard
And-
about you.
Oh, no, you did not. How is that possible?
Getzel the Pretzel Man? Traveling Hanukkah show?
I literally just said that. Yes. Okay. I'm like, how do you know this? First of all, I'm like half flattered that you would know this, but I just wanted to check. He's not okay.
Certainly not.
Anyway, long story short, it's like when there's a play and Judah the Maccabee is like recruiting people like on the play, and then I come out of the audience as if I'm a plant in the audience. I come out and I join the Maccabees and whatever, and then he takes me to the secret cave because the Maccabees are hiding, and we walk around the stage a little bit, and then he's like, "We're here at the secret." I'm like, "Where's the secret cave?" He's like, "It's right here." I'm like, "I can't see it." He's like, "That's because it's secret." So here's the thing. The secret tzaddikim, that was a very long loop back to what you said. Secret tzaddikim, well, we don't know. But what we do know is that there are very few people that fall into this category of people who don't have an animal soul or an active animal soul. Very, very few human beings don't have that internal battle. Most of us are, as I said a moment ago, pregnant with twins. Now, within the category of tzaddik, there's tzaddik v'tovlo, tzaddik v'ralo, tzaddik to whom is only good, and tzaddik to whom there's also a trace of negativity. So that refers to two levels. Either the animal soul is completely evicted, so it's a tzaddik v'tovlo, a tzaddik that only has good completely through and through, or a tzaddik v'ralo means there's a little bit of negative, but it's so dormant. I think that's the right word. It's so yeah, vashlafet. It's so sleepy that it's not at all activated. And it under normative circumstances, it's not something that this person has to contend with on a regular basis. In other words, when this person wakes up in the morning, goes about their day, it's not like they're dealing with, well, shouldn't I do this or do that? That's not a thing that they're contending with. They're contending only with positivity inside, either because the other side is gone or because it's so reduced that the voice has been so dimmed, it's not even getting in the way. That's a tzaddik. Again, if you're a tzaddik, shkoyach, but most of us are not a tzaddik. Ra. Tzaddik, ra like bad. But ra low, that's the verb. Ra is low. The bad is to him. In other words, the bad is subjugated. It's dormant to him. In other words, or her. It's so, the voice has been so quieted that it no longer even states its opinion. But conceptually, that second level tzaddik, it's still there. The first level tzaddik, it's gone. Never to return, pure through and through. Now, who's the Beinoni? Beinoni's in the middle. No. Let's go to the Russia. Let's go to the other extreme. Russia is, again, all of this is Tanya, classic Tanya, Chassidic philosophy. What is a Russia? Who is a Russia? A Russia is someone who has the same two forces inside, the same dueling voices, but allows that voice, that voice of negativity to manifest, to come out, and to, in essence, dictate what that person will think, say, and or do. That comes out, that's manifest, and it actually controls, it grabs the remote control, and it's moving the robot that is us. Not that we're a robot, but I would not deny it either. Right, so that is, sorry. I meant to break out the robot hands later. Sorry for jumping the gun on that. But anyway, so we are all, right, so not we are all. So the Russia is someone who is at times, or maybe a lot of time, controlled. The person, as you show up, they are controlled by the negative force inside, hence the Russia. There's two levels of Russia. Russia Vitovlo means that although they behave in a negative fashion, they still have good inside, which means they regret what they've done. Oh, what was I thinking? What was I doing? I'll do better next time. Russia Viralo, the lowest level of Russia. That's like no regrets. No regrets anymore. Like that's a Russia. That's a person who's so controlled by the negative inside that no longer is remorseful, no longer has any sense of moral compass that, I mean, maybe somewhere it's in there, but it's effectively kind of gone. So that's the polar extreme from the tzaddik v'tovlo, right? On one extreme, you have a tzaddik where there's no negative voice. On the other side, you have a Russia a negative person who has no positive voice inside, essentially. So those are the extremes. In the middle, there's one level, off of those extremes. And then there is what we call the Beinoni, who is the hero of Tanya. In fact, the original name of the book of Tanya is Sefer Shel Beinonim, the book of the Beinoni. Many people wrote books for superheroes. The Alter Rebbe wrote a book for the average person. So who is the Beinoni? The Beinoni is a psychological rasha and a behavioral tzaddik. The Beinoni is someone who on the inside has all the turmoil, all the chaos, right? Chaos is there. Inside, godly soul, animal soul are duking it out, drag him down, knock him down, the whole situation, cage match, top of the cage match, with the folding chair, the whole 9 yards. This is what's going on. I was around the 80s and early 90s, before when it was still WWF.
WWE.
Thank you, Waverly, for having my back here. When it was dubbed before the World Wildlife Foundation. I don't know what that was for. They exist. Woo, right? Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Jake the Snake, Hulk Hogan, like the guys back in the day.
Hulk Hogan. That's it.
What? That's the final straw. That's when you storm out. I'm just saying names, people. Anyway, here's the point. Ric Flair, who was around then? Oh my gosh, it's been years. Anyway,
Norm was.
No, too young.
what was Norm's wrestling name? Kidding. So here's the deal. Here's the dealio. The Beinoni. Oh, the Beinoni. The Beinoni, huh?
The mighty snake.
Andre the Giant, otherwise known as the star of the Princess Bride. Oh my gosh, it's all coming back. Anyway, back to the story. So the Beinoni. Oh, let's talk about the Beinoni. The Beinoni is someone, psychological rasha. What do you mean psychological rasha? Internally, that battle is raging. Not a tzaddik. Oh, I don't have that negative voice. Oh, bro, it's there. It's fully active. The twins are a Jocelyn. I don't know. Said no one ever. Right? The twins are it's a whole situation. Remember who the twins are, by the way, right? They were Yaakov and Esau, Jacob and Esau, right? And when Esau was born first, Jacob was grabbing the heel. I mean, if that's not out of a scene, pulling him out of the cage, I mean, that's straight up.
Another snake.
Oh,
Another snake in the grass.
Jake the snake.
Jacob the snake.
Oh, Jake the snake. Oh my gosh. No, but he's our forefather, so we're going to be kind to Jake, to
We'll
Yaakov.
stick with Storm.
All right. So the point is, on the inside, listen, on the inside, the Beinoni is all conflicted, all turmoil. But on the outside, a psychological rasha, but a behavioral tzaddik. On the outside, the way the tzaddik shows up, he or she, in thought, speech, and action, is like a tzaddik. Thinking healthy thoughts, saying healthy things, and doing healthy things. So in the three areas in which we show up in the world, thought, speech, and action, the garments of the soul, as Kabbalah describes, and those three areas, which we have immediate control over. The Beinoni is in a good place. Not inside. Open up the hood. Oh my gosh, what's going on in there? Close it. But on the outside, you would never know. The Beinoni on the outside looks like a tzaddik. Hence the oath. Let's go back to the oath. The soul is given an oath. Be a tzaddik. But even if you can't, if you're never going to get there, if you're never able to rewire what's going on inside, at least don't be a rasha. In other words, be a Beinoni. Hence the dual language of the oath. Be a tzaddik, parentheses. And if you can't, at least don't be a rasha, because there's an option in the middle. You don't have to be perfect to be a mensch. You don't have to be a superhuman being to make a difference in the world or a difference in someone's life. You can struggle internally. You can be like, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? But you know what? If you do the right thing, that other person doesn't even know. And it doesn't matter because you showed up. You showed up and did the godly thing. It doesn't matter. Doesn't actually matter that how much of a struggle there was internally. The bottom line, you got it done. And that means, sorry? Yes. That's why Tanya is called the Book of the Beinoni. The Alter Rebbe wrote a book opening up the possibility for everyone to even if you say, I'll never be a tzaddik. So what am I bothering? Why am I bothering? If forever I'm struggling with these choices, so then I'm not making any progress. So what's the point of life? The Alter Rebbe says, what's the point of life? Point of life is that even though you feel like X, Y, and Z, you can still do A, B, and C. You're not stuck by what you want to do. You have the ability to go against what you want to do, because you know what? A part of you also wants to do the right thing. A major part of you. So again, the Beinoni is someone.
So if Beinoni always has this internal chaos, how do you ever find peace?
Hold that question. Good. The question is, if a Beinoni is always struggling, then where's the peace? Good. Excellent question. But let's just solidify the Beinoni. The tzaddik is someone who has no struggle anymore. Why? Because the negative voice or the animal voice inside is effectively subdued or gone. The Rasha is someone who allows the negative to take over, to control the body and what it thinks, says, or does. Who's the Beinoni? The Beinoni is someone who has the chaos inside. In other words, the turmoil. The two sides are fighting, duking it out. But on the outside, i.e. how they show up, they're able to be in control. It's like a person, simple example that I've given many times before in these classes. It's like you come to a stop sign and you stop. Did you want to stop? I don't know. But are you able to stop even if you don't want to stop? Absolutely. Can we ensure that we don't say the hurtful thing even when we're angry? Is it possible? Absolutely. Okay. Doing that, you're a Beinoni. That's what a Beinoni is. A Beinoni, and the Alter Rebbe is almost allowing us to see this vision of ourselves. That if we get angry internally, it doesn't mean that we're a horrible person. It means that we are normal. Normal. Mazel tov, you're normal. Now, would it be ideal if we were able to get to that place where we never got angry, we never got jealous, we never were like, of course, yeah. But would you want to be a tzaddik? Yeah, why not? But is that realistic? A realistic expectation? No. And if it's not a realistic expectation, so then what do we do next? The next step is to ensure that even when we do get angry, we do get frustrated, that doesn't need to manifest itself in an ugly way or in a hurtful way. We have the ability to stop, to block that, and to smile, and to say something kind, to do something kind, to do a mitzvah, even when inside we're like, I don't really want to do that. Okay, we do things all the time we don't want to do. So might as well show. So again, the Beinoni definition that I'm giving you today is psychological Russia. In other words, has the same internal chaos as a Russia does, but the difference is that on behavior level, they're a behavioral tzaddik. Now, this explains the oath. Let's go through the oath. Be a tzaddik. And if you can't be a tzaddik, at least don't be a Rasha, meaning be a Beinoni. And if the whole world tells you you're a tzaddik, you should be in your eyes. That was the second half. You should consider yourself as if you were a Rasha, not a Rasha, but if you were a Rasha. What does that mean? Even if the whole world tells you, oh, you're a tzaddik, you don't have any voice inside of negativity, you should believe that you do have that, even if it's very quiet. Because the moment you trust yourself too much, oh, I can never fail, I can never fall, I don't even want to do something negative. The more hubris, the more you believe in yourself on that level, is the moment that you can fall big time. It's those that took their eye off the ball. It's those that believe that they couldn't fail, too big to fail, too righteous to fail. That's when failure comes knocking at the old door. Boom, boom, boom. The best way to prevent against that is to always be on guard at every moment. As it says, what's that? What does God say to Cain? Sin crouches at the door, right? What's the Hebrew on that? Chet, whatever. Avain, chet, whatever. Sin, what is it? Something. Sin croucheth. We go some OG translation here. Sin croucheth at the door. It's croucheth. Who knows? Crouches at the door. It's lurks. It's ready to go. It lurks. And if you don't believe that, then you're toast. then you're toast. It's like a Hasidic Rebbe once told someone, like, always imagine that the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is standing above you like a guillotine, ready to chop off your head, like ready to go in for the kill. He says, Rebbe, what if I don't feel that? He's like, well, then it's too late. Then it's already done. It's like, me? Oh, no, I don't have to worry about this. I'm good. You're good? You're definitely not good. By the way, it doesn't mean we should beat ourselves up. No. It just means to be vigilant and on guard and recognize that at any moment, there can be a temptation that comes to us that can take us down. And so it means to be always at the ready to battle. Never take your eye off that wily animal soul. It says in Chassidic philosophy, that the Yetzer Hara in the animal soul can sometimes don, D-O-N, put on the clothing of a righteous person or even a Hasidic person.
That's so
Like,
tricky.
right? So super tricky. It's like, oh, this is going to be a good thing. Oh, sure, for you. Like, this is not a good thing. And it's very difficult. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of care to make sure that we're staying on the straight and narrow. So again, the oath is be righteous, be a tzaddik. If you can't be a tzaddik, at least don't be a rasha. And if the whole world tells you you've arrived, you're perfect, always remember, think of yourself like a rasha, not a rasha. Not telling you to be depressed about yourself, but recognize that you may still have that negative inside, which means that you are abandoning. Now, why do I say all this? Oh, yeah,
So
sure.
Is the dormancy, if you will, of the animal soul is there, and then suddenly it seems a very opportune time and it could come to the fore.
Correct.
And if you think that it can't, that's when you're in trouble.
It lulled you. It's like the cornerback playing a little bit off the receiver. I was like, oh, I didn't see that screen pass coming. Boom, intercepted, 6 the other way. Not that we're talking about predictions. The red team is going to win.
Well, it has to.
Not going to lie, huh?
Hey,
I know. That's what I said.
One's gonna wear white.
Well,
You know what?
okay, it's red and white or white and red. They're both red.
What's interesting?
Okay, by the way, as a Taylor Swift fan,
How can you be? She went to a Gaza support for Gaza.
I don't know. I didn't follow all
You're
that.
no longer a fan of hers.
All right, we'll see.
Everybody's got some-
Everyone's got it. Everyone's abandoning. Here's the point. What's with the abandoning? What is with the abandoning? If I were to ask you this following question, so what's the ideal? Tzaddik or abandoning? Which is better? If you could choose, what would you choose to be? Everyone would say tzaddik.
No.
Who's higher? Right? BuzzFeed. Right? Human beings ranked. Right? Tanya personas ranked. You would say that tzaddik would be at the top, right? Because here you're talking about someone who is pure inside and out, not subject to temptation, impervious to sin. Why? That would be like the holy grail, right? To mix metaphors, that would be like the holiest level to achieve. So here is where we get to Peloton. Here's what, right? So everyone's like, I'll take it. So, but here we get to Peloton.
Get the what?
Peloton, the bike. I don't know what that is.
The COVID bike.
Punching the
That
Peloton.
was the COVID bike.
That's what I'm talking about. That's wrote that in the email. The 2020 era fitness, home fitness machinery. I think that's what I wrote, if I recall correctly. Anyway, the point is like this. What is the Peloton? How does it work? Have you ever been on the Peloton or ever seen how it works? It works like this. First of all, you can watch people, but at the end of the day, it's not about them, it's about you. And so there's two things in your control. Number one is the pedal rate. That's not what it's called. It's called cadence. Cadence is how fast you pedal. That's one thing that you control. How fast will you pedal? No one else is going to pedal for you. Well, I mean, that's an upgrade. No, okay. So pedal, that's what they use in the Tour de France. Burn, they have now started a podcast about these little motors that they've been, little secret motors.
Real, they've been cheap.
Oh, right. Shocker. Hashtag Lance did not juice, right? Is that where we're going with this? Anyway, back to the story. They call it, actually, it's funny. They call it, there's a great name for it, for this use of motors. They call it,
Driving.
Also, that's good. It's gonna come back to me. I'll look at it after the class. All right, here we go. So how do we get to the bike? Oh, bikes, right. So you control how fast you go. So sorry, how fast you pedal, right? Cadence. And the other thing, there's a knob. There's a knob. That's called resistance. Turn the knob counterclockwise, it's easier to pedal. Turn it clockwise, it gets harder and harder. You add the resistance. So physically, it's harder to push. So now I'm about to blow your mind with this algorithm. Ready? I know this is going to shock all of you. I'm trying to be facetious here. I'm going to shock all of you. The faster you pedal and the more resistance that you need to pedal faster, the greater is the out, what they call the output. What is the output? The output is the energy that you expended. I know it's crazy, right? Super crazy. If you dial it all the way to the left, counterclockwise, it becomes super, it's like downhill. It's like downhill. The wheels fly, like the pedals fly. And if you go really fast, guess what? You're pedaling really fast, but you know what? You're not expending a lot of energy. Crank up that resistance. You guys see where I'm going with this, right? Crank up the resistance. What happens? It's harder to pedal fast. But every step you take, every move you make, says Peloton. What is it? I'll be watching you. No, right? So every pedal, more energy, and it makes you stronger. So now I'll ask you a question again. Would you rather be the tzaddik? No resistance. Tzaddik has no resistance. Tzaddik pedals, goes about the day, does good things. There's no resistance. Downhill. It's great, right? There's no resistance. You know what no resistance means?
No energy.
No energy. There's no energy expended. It doesn't bring out your soul. It doesn't bring out your core. It's easy. Oh, you say, wait, it's easy, but it's perfect. True, but it's easy. The Beinoni is someone, every pedal, every cycle of that pedal is born of intense struggle. There's fierce resistance. We're locked in that battle. The resistance is amped up. Every time we push that pedal, it's hard. He says, well, who wants to be a Beinoni? You get stronger like it. Right? So the Talmud says exactly. But makom shabali tshuva omdim ain't tzadikim gemorim yecholim la'amud sham. In a place where a Baal Tshuva stands. Baal Tshuva is someone who wasn't born observant, wasn't born religious, but someone who worked hard on themselves to get to that place. They stand way beyond the stature of that any tzaddik could stand. Why? Again, one was born of intense work. The other was the downhill ride. There's nothing wrong with a downhill ride, but where do you expend? Where do you unleash the energy? Where do you need to dig deep? That's in the Beinoni experience. And so, in Tanya, he says, let this be the consolation for the Beinoni. When the Beinoni says, I would rather be a tzaddik, where am I going with this? Every day I face the same inner battle, the same inner demons. What kind of progress is this? Progress? You want to know what progress? Look at the output. That's tremendous progress. What do you mean progress? Progress is not defined by perfection. Progress is defined by energy, by the amount of work you've done. And relative to a tzaddik, it's incomparable, the amount of work the Beinoni has to do. So says Tanya the following, and it's literally inducing chills, at least for me. Tanya, he says like this, he continues to say, there's a difference between an Eved Elokim and an Oved Elokim. An Eved Elokim is a divine servant. An Oved Elokim is one who is serving God. What's the difference? A tzaddik is God's servant. Tzaddik is doing his thing or her thing. Tzaddik is God's servant. But the Beinoni is one who is serving God, actively in the moment, putting in the sweat to serve, to work hard. The tzaddik the Beinoni is battling their inner turmoil, their inner conflict to serve God in the moment. And he likens to another passage of the Talmud. It's all based really off of classic Jewish ideas, Talmudic and otherwise. The Talmud says that back in the day in Talmudic times, listen to this. It says that every student, if you were a Torah scholar, you would review the studies 100 times. Now, let me just pause here for a moment. Let's spike the ball. We're running the 2-minute drill, right? We're down by 3, but don't worry, we got this. So just pause for a quick moment. Why did they review their studies 100 times? The answer is simply they didn't have the internet. No, really, also, the other answer is because this stuff wasn't written down yet. This is before the oral Torah was written down. In other words, all they had was the written Torah, 5 books of Moses and the books of the prophets. 5 books of Moses, anyone who's ever read that, you know how, for lack of a better term, I don't mean this in the sketchy way, but in a sketchy way, i.e. just a framework way, the mitzvot, right? The 613 commandments are written in a very sparse and brief way. It says, put totafot between your eyes. It's like, oh, sure, I'll do that as we slowly walk out of the room and like, what's totafot? I have no idea what that is, right? It's like, oh, put them as fringes on the corners of your garment.
With a string of blue.
What does that look like? How many? Where? What? Material? You'll read it. It's not there. It ain't there. The details aren't there. Observe the Sabbath, right? Rest. And do and don't do what? Like, what does that actually mean? The Torah is very brief because accompanying the written Torah was an oral tradition. God told Moses, write this, and this is what it means. And then Moses taught it to Joshua, and they taught it generation to generation, and it wasn't written down. Yeah.
Expends describes it, explains it in this way. He says it's like going to school and you go to a lecture and you take notes. Then you go back. And the guy listens to your notes, he can't figure out what's really going on because he didn't hear the whole lecture.
Right.
So the difference was the written Torah is basically the notes.
Right.
Moshe, the Jewish people, they got the whole lecture and they passed it down over.
And they needed 100 times for each halacha to make sure they got it right and accurate.
That's why the written Torah seems simplistic, because you can't put all the variations and combinations of life in there, and that's what developed the whole.
Also, according to some commentators, I love the analogy. According to some commentators, it was by design, not only because God couldn't have put all the details, maybe we a very big book, but also because God wanted it to be a conversation. He wanted there to be that interplay between generations, wanted there to be the product of effort, and it shouldn't be an open book, but a little bit of a difficult, you'd have to kind of,
Study it.
Study it.
Pediatric level, all the way up. Children
Right.
don't understand it. But if you put it in so complicated, nobody is ever going to understand it.
Right, that's a good point also. Yeah, right. If you make it too simple, right. So it's basically the outline. Here's the basics.
The Cliff Notes.
The Cliff Notes.
Rabbi?
Now it all makes sense
We
to
went,
me.
we made it through school with Cliff Notes.
It makes
or
sense
some of us.
now.
Anyway, so here's the deal. So you have the Torah students back in the times of the Mishnah and the Talmud, before it was written down, the people of that era, they would study a given halacha 100 times to review it, to check in with the teacher, check in with themselves, check in with their colleagues to make sure they got it right. So the standard operating procedure of Torah study was reviewing it 100 times. Says the Talmud, if you review it 100 times, you haven't served God. But you review it 101 times, now you serve God. What does that mean? Here's what it means. If you review the study 100 times, it's normal. Back then it was at least normal and expected. You didn't have to summon any intense energy to do so. But study it 101 times, one more time, is going beyond the norm. That's when you expend the energy. That's when you're serving God. The tzaddik is someone who's in their comfort zone. The tzaddik is comfortable with doing a mitzvah. The tzaddik doesn't have to sweat to do the right thing. The Beinoni is like the one who studies 101 times, going outside the comfort zone. pushing themselves. And I would say in our own lives, we also have this, because every one of us, even though I told you before, Mazel Tov, right? We all have twins. At the same time, there are areas in our life and in our spiritual lives as well that we are like tzaddikim. In other words, there are certain areas in which we no longer struggle with this mitzvah or that mitzvah. Like, oh, this one is easy. I wake up every morning, I pray, put on tefillin, whatever it is, Shabbos, whatever it might be for you, that might be your tzaddik area of Judaism. In other words, you no longer are conflicted, you're no longer torn, you no longer struggle with it. Maybe at one point in time you did, but Mazel Tov, you have now progressed in that one area, in that one sliver, to be tzaddik-like. And maybe another area and another area, but here's the question. What about the other areas? What about the areas that are challenged? Oh, that mitzvah, I don't really do that one. Comes along today's lesson and says, look at the areas in which there's still that battle, that internal turmoil, and be a Beinoni in one more of those areas. In other words, be a Beinoni, make the choice, the holy choice, in one more area that hitherto, we were a little bit, maybe, that's not for me. I'm just going to stick with my comfort zone. I'm going to stick with the 100, not the 101. I don't want to sweat. I'm going to go downhill today. Crank up the resistance. Find that mitzvah that to you is the resistance and blast through it. Blast through it. We need some Peloton instructor hype going on here. You can do it. Pedal through it. Pedal through the pain. You got this. Huh? Right. Some rabbi shouting at a screen. I'm sure everybody would love that app.
Rabbi?
Put those tefillin on tighter.
Yeah, wrap him tighter, baby. My arm is blue, tighter. Like, oh my God, I can't anymore. So anyway, here's the point. It's a few points today. Number one, to be a tzaddik is great. But you know what? It's also overrated. Not gonna lie. It's a little overrated. I'm kidding, right? But, or not kidding. A tzaddik is great, but you know what? Where's the energy? Where's the output? A Beinoni is doing a lot of output. There's a lot of resistance there. There's a lot of energy being expended in order to do the right thing. In our own lives, we are all Beinonim, or at least aspiring Beinonim. We can be the Beinoni. Be the Beinoni you've always wanted to be. I don't know, whatever you want to phrase it, right? Be the Beinoni.
Sounds like
right?
a Super Bowl commercial.
Sounds like a Super Bowl commercial. Be the Beinoni. What does that mean to be the Beinoni? The Beinoni is someone who is not looking for the easy way out. Someone not looking for the 100s in life. Like, oh, let me find the things that I'm already doing or the things that I like doing and do that. I'm not saying don't do that. By the way, time out. Spike the ball again. We have now it's literally the 2-minute drill. So I'm not saying not to do those things. Do those things. Lean into the areas in which you like doing it and are doing it and excel at doing it. Good stuff is good stuff. Right? Good stuff is good stuff. Never take away from the good stuff. But today, the message is add to the good stuff with a little bit of hard stuff. Take some of the hard stuff, some of the stuff in which no, it doesn't matter what anyone else knows. You know that for you, that's your resistance. For you, you know that is hard to do. It's hard for you. It's hard. It may not be hard for someone else. Don't judge yourself. Everyone's animal soul is different. It's easy to solve someone else's problems. So, I can't believe they did that. Yeah. That's because it's not your animal soul. Obviously, it's easy. Your animal soul is your animal soul. Everyone's tweaked differently to provide their own, to push their own buttons and crank up their own vices. That's why it's my animal soul or your animal soul. Yeah, everyone's solving each other's problems. So I can't believe they did that. Well, obviously not, because you don't have that animal soul. It didn't come after you that way. It came after you. You'd also be toast. We have to think about ourselves. What for me is difficult? Where's my battle? There's some areas in which I've conquered the battle. I'm a tzaddik now. Mazel tov. Celebrate that. But there's still areas, I would bet there's still areas for each of us. For each of us where the battle is still raging, where you have on the gridiron, two teams pitted against each other, literally digging in, waiting for that snap to literally pound into each other. And the battle is fierce. The battle may even be bloody. But in the end, we know that we have the ability to overcome. And when we do, it will be the greatest battle ever fought. A battle that was the product of intense energy, intense work, and supplying and providing intense gratification, knowing that we were strong enough to stand up to the challenge. And so my blessing for all of us is to not run away from the difficulty, but lean into it. Lean into the things that are difficult. That's what it means to serve God, to be a servant, to be serving God in the present. Servant of God is someone who's already arrived. To be serving God in the moment, right? This moment, am I serving God? If it's easy, who am I serving? Serving. I'm doing good things, not serving. In Hebrew, it's better. It works better in Hebrew. Avodah means to work, not just to serve. To work. Am I working? Am I not working? If it's easy, I'm not working. If I'm going downhill, I'm not pedaling. There's no energy. There's no energy being expended. Find one space this week, 2 spaces this week, 2 areas in which there's a lot of resistance. And in one moment, create a breakthrough. In one moment, feel the resistance and tell yourself, this time, here's where I draw the line. This time, I say no. This time, this is how we're going to do it. On my terms, not on your terms, speaking only internally. And this way, we fight the good fight, battle the good battle, and as it says in Kabbalah, reveal and release the greatest light that's yet to be born. The light that's born of Iskafia, the light that's born of the internal battle is greater than any other light that could be ever reproduced. And so indeed, may we be the ones in our own lives to reveal that light, and may that light bring us tremendous blessing, the blessing born of effort and accomplishment. Thank you for joining me this morning for Kabbalah Cafe. This is the month of Adar, so we need to be joyous. So on that note, all of this should be done with simcha, joy. Not like, oh, I got to go to the trenches. The rabbi said Sunday morning, got to go to the trenches. Take them out, drag them out. No. This is all simcha. With joy, we can accomplish anything. Thank you for joining me this morning. One quick note, scheduling note. Please join me this Tuesday night for an absolutely riveting event. Talk about battling internal and otherwise demons. Here's a man, Frank Miink, who grew up in Philadelphia, born and raised, to the playground where he spent most of his days shooting. All right, anyway. He was not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but he was an avowed anti-Semite, skinhead, neo-Nazi. He went to jail for various criminal offenses, and his life radically turned around. And he has recently discovered that he has some Jewish roots as well. He is going to be speaking about his incredible journey from hatred to harmony this Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m., right here in this space. Join us.
You have to reserve.
If you come at the list.
If you come as you are, right? You could reserve, if not, either way. Join us. This is going to be a powerful event, giving us really taking us into the soul of hatred. I know today, Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, is
What a
running.
waste of money.
Hold on. Commentaries after. 1 second. You're like the Romo. Let me just be the. Let me just do the play-by-play. Say what's what.
It's a soft spot for me.
All right. I don't mean to push any buttons, but he is. I don't know how much money he spent. I don't know, whatever.
7 million.
It's now. I remember when it was 1 million.
I
Oh,
heard 7 million on advertising.
interesting. Okay. But anyway, he's running a commercial that's against anti-Semitism. But either way, the point is that there's a lot of hate in the world and a lot of prejudice on many different levels. And sometimes we think, how could someone hate? How does a person, every child is born pure and innocent. How do you fall into hatred? He's going to take us into the journey. Oh, fine. But everyone has a battle. But how do you go so far down that rabbit hole? He had a Nazi tattoo on his neck. How do you go to that place? So he's going to take us into the soul of hatred. What does it look like? And what are those people telling each other? How do they recruit people? He was a recruiter, a neo-Nazi recruiter. He's going to take us inside that world. only for one reason, for the sake of understanding the soul of hatred and understanding how to get out of that soul of hatred. Again, a powerful event, I think an important event, tonight, February 13th, 7:30 p.m. Everyone's invited. Spread the word, spread the news. Start spreading the Philadelphia cream. Bum, bum, ba-da-da, bum, bum. All right, well, this is commercial, not Kabbalistic.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Hershey's.
I
miss
it.
I
miss
know. What? Sorry, I missed the question. It's going to be in the social. Yeah. Microphone. Yeah, we'll have it recorded. All right. Good to see you all. Shavua Tov, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it today, and let's get out there and fight the good fight.
You know.